Hey guys, welcome to today's video. I'm going to show you some basics on how I usually start working on some of my projects, I guess. Usually I create a smaller base, but this base plate will work fine. I have some stuff over there, but that's not necessary. Usually I get these three parts out because these are the three basic parts that, well, five basic parts that Roblox has, and they do come very much in handy. I usually keep these two over here and keep prominent ones right here. Now that we got our five parts, we want to color them shade like that. You always want to use blue. You never really want to use just pure gray because gray looks ugly. There we go. Let's make it metal. So we'll keep it as that for now. It's just basic shapes to start off with. We'll obviously take them and pull them out. I'm going to show you how to do that. So first of all, how you move and drag objects. You select this select tool. Let's say you drag this corner, it'll drag based on that corner. So if I, let's say, got this target right here, selected it based on its foot, it'll drag by its foot. But if I selected it based on its head, it'll immediately go to the foot for some reason. Unless I pull it up here and then it'll try to do from the head. Basically, if you're moving it on a bottom surface, it's going to take the most bottom unless you're selecting it this side. And it'll go to the far left side. If you're selecting it from this side, it'll go to the other side. But it will still listen to its increment, which is one stud. It'll still move by one studs. Now that we are back to here and we know how to drag objects around, their most basic sort of form, let's start moving objects using this tool right here. As you can see, it's a very basic tool. Select one object or all objects and you can select them, drag them around. You shouldn't use this tool all the time, only when you're selecting it and you can't move them into places. So, like, let's say I'm trying to move it under this car, but the wheels are getting in the way or something. Like, sometimes that happens. This isn't a good explanation, but essentially, it's for when you're dealing with indoor sort of things and you need exact sort of movementations. Um, and usually you can't drag them in. Sometimes it gets difficult. Those hard to reach places. Anyways, so you're going to take these objects and we're going to show you how to scale. So there's two ways to scale. You can scale without holding shift, or you can hold shift and it'll scale. The problem with holding shift is, as you can see, sometimes it's a bit irregular. So as you can see, it's not aligning with the studs. All you have to do to fix that is drag it to the studs, but that doesn't always mean it's going to align with the studs. Sometimes the dragging, like the size, will change to very small decimal points and be very irregular. So I don't recommend it on all objects, just very simple objects that you can drag right after. And even then I don't recommend it all that much. Now let's get on to rotation. Usually I set my rotation to 5, but Roblox will set it to 15 or 45 by default. That's usually what you should. Don't really need anything else like 5, or just sometimes use 45, but you won't always need it, mostly because if you drag over here, you can just instantly turn it like this, right? And if you need, smaller increments, you already have the 15. But let's say let's say you have a part like this. It looks like this. And it has to stay like this. It's a gun. Let's say it's a gun, right? This is the handle, right? Let's say you want to move it 180. All you have to do is select it and do Control R and then Control R again. Control R or Command R if you're on Mac, I believe, and that'll be able to change the sort of position, or no, the rotation, the orientation of the object in the model in it. So if we go over to here and let's say we select this entire truck, we do Control G, like in God, to group it, and then Control R, like in razor blade, to rotate it. Now that we've got that done, we can go back to here and use our last thing, which is the transform tool. Now the transform tool is sort of all of these in one. It's a little bit weird. It's sort of supposed to be exact, but nobody ever realistically uses this. It's just a very basic tool that if you need to be sort of exact with something, I guess it's kind of useful. It helps with the grid, I guess, but really you're never really going to use the transform. There's no real use for it. So yeah. And now here's the fun one, pivots. So let's say you make like sort of like a ladder, right? Let's make ourselves a ladder. This is where it's gonna get really fun. You guys are gonna like. So this is our ladder, right? This is designed by some of our best engineers, right? And let's say you want to rotate the ladder. Hold on, let me. Our engineers are not done yet. There we go. That's our beautiful ladder right there. So let's say we want to rotate the ladder, right? From the bottom. Let's try and rotate it now. Hold on, there's some space on the bottom. It just lifted my ladder up and put it that way. It lifted it like it was a garage or something, except the garage's axle is in the middle. So how you're gonna change that is you're going to take pivot, look up here to edit pivot, and you're going to drag all the way down. Now, as you can see right down here, it's not always perfect. So what you're going to want to do is you see these two little arrows right here next to the move and the studs all the way at the top right here. You're going to shrink that down to 0.2. Now 0.2 is not perfect either, so you're going to change it to 0.1. So it put it down by an extra 0.5, and it does that because your object, if it's imperfect or perfect, it doesn't matter. It does that sometimes, alright? Oh no, but we're still lifting off the ground. So an easy way to fix that is you take the pivot, because you see the pivot is in the middle, and you're going to drag it to the opposite side, actually. I change this to 0.5 real quick to put it back into here. And the reason you're going to put it here is because you're trying to make the top and push it that way, meaning that this is the bottom, meaning that you don't want this to go up. So all you have to do is push this. And you can put it the other way. Let me show you this first. See? So now you can't see the bottom, but it's completely slanted. But let's say you wanted to do it the other way and blah blah blah, and you have an opinion and stuff. So you're gonna put it over to here and do it the other way, but then you'd have to pull it down, and then it's not perfect. And of course, you could do this and then do that, but then that changes the position altogether, and you still get the same result just with the different position. Otherwise, you would have been able to do it right like that. It would have been completely perfect. So you can actually pull this to the corner. It's gonna get really fun. Pull this all the way to the corner. Now you can be able to change it based on the corner. And now if you put them to the corner, you'll get the best axis to move on because you're moving on a corner. So you can move it like that. This, and it'll still stay pretty regular. Now, here's what I'd watch out for is moving it into, moving it in multiple directions at once. This is going to produce results, but I don't know what results they'll produce. For all I know, they can probably ruin the entire build. But you'll probably be alright. Just stick to a basic few movements. You really won't have to go far from there. Alright, so now that we know how to move and select and mess around with our model, now we need to know how to unionize. So what unions are is they're sort of a little more in depth, right? Never leave your move at 0.5. You should leave it at 0.2, and if you're using basic sort of basic things, just leave it at 1 most of the time. So we're going to teach you how to make a U. So let's say I want to make a game with the hole in the wall, right? So let's make this sort of square right here. And then I want the hole to look like this. I want it to be a circle, and then I want it to be like this. There we go. Yeah, like that. That one, that looks good. Alright, so this is the hole in the wall, and my players will have to fit through it. Now, this is a bit small for a player size. If we can take one over here and put it right here, I won't do that right now. We don't really. But I think you get the idea. This would be way too big for a player, or way too small for a player to actually fit through. Extend this a little bit. Alright, let's group and put that in the middle as best as we can. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to move this, select it, put it in there. You're going to actually want to ungroup it. Boom. You're going to then want to unionize it, and then negate it, and then you're going to want to take this, and then you're going to unionize. So as you can see, there is a little slant on the bottom, but that's just because I haven't perfected the shape. But essentially, we just cut through the shape. And let's take a few steps back to see how we did that. So we have our two shapes here. Ungroup them because we don't need them grouped in the first place. That was just so I can move them perfectly, or semi-perfectly. Take this and move this a little bit over. There we go. Alright, now we don't actually have to union this. We can actually just negate it initially. And now we have both of our shapes negated. And then we can select all of the objects right here, like this, by dragging our mouse and holding left click. Or we can hit Control, select each individual object. Forgot to mention that. Now we're going to unionize it by clicking in. Perfect. So now we have our shape. Use, I guess, like a keyhole or a hole in the wall or whatever. So now that we have our hole in the wall, what else do we need? Oh, right. You can obviously separate them to go back to their initial shape. Fair warning with unions, sometimes they can break. And there are many times where players have corrupted or broken unions. Don't use too many shapes, because if you use too many shapes, it'll eventually overload and break. Because Roblox is not like too many vertices, even with their meshes. Anything above 4,000 vertices and you're done. You know? Or 4,000 triangles, I believe. So as you can see here, now we have our shape, blah blah blah, cool. We're gonna drag it over here. It's our accomplishment. It's our accomplishment. Now we're gonna work on something different. Yes, we can try the align tool. I don't think we really need to. Let's see, what can we do with you today? Peasants. Oh, let's go to view. I want you to go to view real quick. It's at the top of your bar. You go to view. I want you to open Explorer and Properties and put them as I put them right here. You can do this layout, or you can drag properties over to the left side. If you're like really working between these, you're mostly scripting. You don't really need this space right now. You can have them like this. This is probably utilizes more or utilizes less of your time. Now we have bounding boxes. A view selector, yeah, you're gonna want to disable this. This isn't necessary. It's just just get rid of it. It was the worst ever addition. It, it no developer likes it. Period. No developer likes it. All right, let's see. We also have a screenshot of full of that. All right, you go to view and you're gonna go to show grid, grid material. You can do studs, 2 studs, 4 studs. This is just some stuff to get used to, just some stuff to see through. Obviously, you don't want to keep this because it is, yeah. So yeah, and the most important thing, wireframing. Believe it or not, this is kind of important. This is actually really useful if you're using Blender to see that you're not using vertices. So this is an example of way too many vertices for a model. This will lag out a game if models are in it. Now this is a perfect example of utilizing not a lot of vertices, not a lot of lines. That's very useful when making a game because it still looks great, but it uses a lot less resources than it needs to. That's really important. As you can see with this model, this one still uses a lot of vertices, but that's mostly because it's R15. Same thing with over here, mostly because it is R15. R15 already uses a lot. So, yeah. Oh, geez, I was talking a lot. My throat is getting really scrappy. Not exactly sure. I want to continue. So let us finish this off with one last testing. No, say that for later. Insert object. So when you have these objects right here, a lot of objects, you can click this to open a bar of objects you can go through, but I would actually recommend you just left click, or not left click, right click. Yeah, right click and click insert object right. So now as you can see, we have many things: a part, a script. We're going to want to click on spawn location. Now, this is basically spawn location, pretty self-explanatory. Let's scale this down a bit. So the initial spawn location size was about 6 by 6. Then they rescaled it up. See, no, perfect by 6 or 4x4, which most like to keep it as. And players will spawn on this whenever they're joining your game. Instead of joining the middle, they'll spawn all the way over here by our beautiful accomplishment. This will be one. Now, another part we can add is called a mesh part. This part means go in, grab an object, insert it. As you can see, it's got a weird texture thing. That's because it is. As you can see, the sign got a little. Now you can add a texture actually to it. So if you didn't want, I don't know, have an actual mesh to it, you can add a texture. As you can see, this part isn't meant to have a texture, so it's just. So yeah. So put any texture to it. Use maybe RBXS at ID 0, and perfect. We have no texture attached, and we can keep this in another trophy of our account. Let's put it right. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now, I guess one last thing I could show you. Find it. We'll go through all of this. See if I can roll this. The seat. Finally, the seat in the vehicle seat. So these aren't actually the same, so I'm going to color them different. I'm going to color the seat gray. Actually, I'm going to color this one brown. I'm going to color this one gray. So the brown seat is the vehicle seat. Yeah, let's color it like I'll color this one red and this. I don't really like that shade of blue. That good? That's good. Let's see where the front of this is. We're gonna add a decal into it so we can instantly see where the front of it is. Front. Alright. Right here is our decal. Add some beautiful decal right now. Alright. Alright, we're gonna take that, copy this here, around, so we know where the front is. So the front is where if a player touches this, it'll see and they'll face this way. Alright, so now that we got basically all of our objects created, or for our beautiful objects, I recommend cursor or something to signify. You can obviously remove it after you build. See, these are what they have in here. Lighter brown and a darker brown, kind of colors to suit. Alright, so that's it. If you have any questions, obviously go to the comment. I guess the last thing to show you is Control D, which is to duplicate an object. Control C, which is to copy an object. Control V, which is to paste an object. Paste as many as you like. Next video, I'm going to be showing you a little more of the properties, how to utilize all of these, or at least 5 basic ones, so we can get to the seats and the, of course, the spawn location, but that's probably going to be taught with. Alright, thank you all for watching today's video. It is a very simple video, but it is very essential when starting off. And I need to know this basic stuff. I know I was sort of just rolling a little bit through it. I don't have a script on me. I don't plan on really making scripts for most of these videos, but if I am going to help you, I probably should invest some time. Thank you all for watching. If you want to see more of these videos, stay tuned because they are coming. Alright, thank you all for watching.